What's up, everybody? I'm coming in. What's up, everybody? This is your boy Rocky, and I'm live here on Upon Further Review on the Off Script channel. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We're going to have a great conversation. We're going to have a great show again today, and I want to thank you for tuning in. You could be anywhere in the world. You could be you could be watching TikTok videos. You could be watching cooking videos. You could be watching twerk videos, but you decide to come in here and tune in to me, Rocky, and we're going to have a great conversation about sports today. Let me just go ahead and just give an overview of what we're going to talk about today, man. We're going to talk about that Super Bowl matchup this week. We're going to talk about the Kyrie Irving trade, along with we're going to talk a little LeBron. LeBron potentially may make history today, so I wanted to have a little conversation about that as well. And we're also going to take a look at, I want to dive a little bit into the black coaching situation as D'Amico Ryan was named head coach of the Houston Texans. I want to talk about the plight of the NFL coach, or the opportunities that exist in NFL coaching, and the specific situation around black coaching and head coaching jobs in the NFL. So I wanted to definitely get into that. But yeah, man, and we also, if you have a conversation that you like to start here as well, this is an interactive show. You're certainly welcome to come on, and we could talk about whatever you would like to talk about as well. So you know, you're a huge part of this show, so we definitely don't want to leave you guys out, man. So let's go ahead and get underway. This underway. Kyrie Irving, if you didn't know, Kyrie Irving has been traded from the Brooklyn Nets to the Dallas Mavericks. Kyrie Irving, it was believed that Kyrie Irving wanted to be traded to the Lakers, right? And for all intents and purposes, all the research I've done, the Lakers were offering 2 draft picks and players in order to get Kyrie Irving. However, Kyrie Irving went Kyrie Irving went to the Dallas Mavericks. It seems like the owner, Joe Tsai, was not going to let Kyrie Irving go to the Dallas. I mean, to the Lakers. He was not going to give Kyrie what he wanted, and it was related to with the Kyrie stance. I think it was a few things, guys. I think it was Kyrie's stance on the vaccination. It was also the stance that he had when he retweeted the Hebrews to Negroes documentary that was on Prime Video, right? That was an issue, and that issue in and of itself, which is what strained the relationship, in my opinion, between the Nets and Kyrie beyond repair. And matter of fact, he tolerated the situation all the way up to the point to where it was approaching the trading deadline, but ultimately, again, he wanted to be traded. He didn't want to be part of the Nets. He officially requested a trade on Friday, and he was actually traded. He was actually traded on Monday, yesterday. And so it was he was actually traded on Monday, but it was announced on Sunday. So it was big news over the weekend. I actually like the trade. I think him and Luka, their games mirror one another. I think both of them can play on the ball and off the ball, but I don't think it addresses the needs of the Dallas Mavericks, which is Dallas Mavericks' needs are defense, because Luka don't play any, and they need size in the interior. So I don't know. I think they will play well together. I think they both will get their numbers. I think they will, they will score the ball quite well and work together. But at the end of the day, Dallas needs defense and size. And that's something that Kyrie Irving doesn't offer them moving forward. And so I just think, again, who do you think won the trade? I'll let you guys decide who won the trade. I personally think the Mavericks won the trade. I think the winner of the trade is who always gets the best player. And in this trade, Kyrie Irving was much better than Spencer Dinwiddie and whoever else the Mavericks sent to Brooklyn. And so, again, Kyrie Irving was the best player. So I think in this case, the Mavericks won the trade, no doubt, man. The Mavericks definitely won the trade. Let me put the banner up. Let me give you guys an opportunity to call if you would like. The call line is open. Let me put it in here. The call lines are open. If you want to call, let me get everything set up in here, because I know you guys definitely want to call in. All right, we got the call lines up. If you would like to call, you're welcome to call in. We have the call line set up. If you have anything that you would like to make a comment on the Kyrie trade or anything else, I can bring you in at any point. We're going to take calls throughout the show. If you guys want to call at any point, just make your call and I'll bring you right on. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, that brings us to still staying in the NBA, and we're talking about LeBron James. LeBron James is approaching history. He's approaching breaking a record that many people thought that would not be broke. He's going to break the all-time leading scoring record held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. This record, when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar broke this record, many people thought it would never be broken. He's held this record 38 years, right? 38 years. And I know many of you will argue with me about this what I'm about to say. But LeBron breaking Kareem's all-time scoring record is an achievement that, in my opinion, solidifies him as the GOAT. It solidifies him as the GOAT. He will be the all-time leading scorer. Okay, my man, he says it's Marcus Morris that was traded. All right, my bad. This solidifies him as the GOAT. him being an all-time leading scorer and playing at such a high level for 20 years, to me, it's unmatched. LeBron is the GOAT. I know many of you are gonna say that uh, that Jordan is the GOAT, but in my opinion, when you look at their careers in total, you take LeBron's career, you take Jordan's career, and you take that LeBron has been in his prime for 20 years. For 20 years, he's been one of the best players in the NFL, if not, I mean, in the NBA, not if not the best player in the NBA. Now, I'm a huge LeBron fan, so I am biased. I'm definitely biased in this situation, right? But if you look at the numbers, just look at the sheer numbers. Leave the championships out of it. I know all of you guys want to bring the championships in it, and you guys can go ahead and bring the championships in it if you want to. But at the end of the day, the GOAT is an individual award. The GOAT is not just championships. The GOAT is not just what you were able to achieve as a member of a team. LeBron has won 4 championships, and he was the best player on each one of those championships. And on one of those championships, his team was the underdog and was playing the greatest regular season team in NBA history. And somehow LeBron and his team was able to pull out the victory in 7 games. And then he goes on to win. He gets traded to the historical Lakers franchise, wins the bubble championship, and in this and now he's reaching one of the most difficult milestones in all of sports, the NBA scoring record, and he is about to break it. Like I say, this is continue. And here's the deal, guys: the story is not finished yet for LeBron. He's going to continue to write his story and cement his legacy in the NBA as the all-time great basketball player in the NBA. In my opinion, he is most definitely the GOAT. And I want to definitely, if anybody has any opinion, if you guys agree with me, again, you're welcome to call in. If you guys disagree with me, this is an interactive show. I would like your feedback. Please continue to call in if you like. I know one thing. There are a lot of people that are gonna say that Jordan is the GOAT, right? But he passed Jordan a long time ago in the scoring. And now he's approaching to be, he's about to do something that Jordan has never done. Jordan was never at any point the NBA's all-time leading scorer. And the remarkable thing about this is LeBron is not what you would consider a scorer. LeBron is a facilitator. He is somebody who, in my opinion, brings a team together and prefers to assist, prefers to defer to other players. But even with that, his greatness has allowed him to become the all-time leading scorer. He's most certainly an adequate scorer. He's an adequate scorer, and this just proves to you his greatness. And again, I'm not saying he's a better scorer than Michael Jordan. I'm saying he's a better overall basketball player, and LeBron, in my opinion, is no doubtly the GOAT. All right, that's enough on LeBron. We can get into what what I think is a very interesting conversation that we can have. DeMeco Ryans was hired as the head coach. He was hired as the head coach of the Texans. And interestingly enough, the Texans have been a team that has hired 3 black head coaches in a row. Now, that's rare. That's rare. I don't think that's ever happened in the NFL before. I think DeMeco Ryans, I think the Texans, the 2 coaches before DeMeco Ryans, I don't think the teams were committed to, and I don't think those coaches were given an opportunity to be successful head coaches. The first guy came in, I can't remember his name, but he came in in the middle of the Deshaun Watson fiasco. And at the end of the day, he wasn't given a chance because he didn't have a quarterback. He had to find a quarterback, and he wasn't able to find a quarterback. Uh, his team played hard. Matter of fact, I think in most cases you would say that his team played better than expected, and he was fired. Then they bring in Lovie Smith. Um, all all accounts, they really wanted to hire a former NFL journeyman quarterback. When they hired Lovie Smith, they wanted to hire a guy with no actual experience. They wanted to hire a guy, Josh McCown, right? We got a caller here coming in. I'll let caller just hold on and I'll bring you in a minute. Josh McCown. And Josh McCown had no experience, but they were considered hiring him as an NFL head coach. And then all of a sudden, Brian Flores sued the NFL. And when Brian Flores sued the NFL for discrimination against black coaches, then what happened? They had to backtrack on hiring a white coach with no experience. They had to backtrack. And then they hired an experienced black coach, which was Lovie Smith. I don't think they ever were committed to Lovie Smith. I don't think they ever had any intention of Lovie Smith being their long-term solution. But again, I think Lovie's team actually overachieved, in my opinion, because they did not have a competent quarterback. The team had been gutted of talent. And then, they got a few wins, and they played. I know they played my Cowboys very hard. They even played the Eagles hard. They played the Eagles hard. So I think he got as much as he could out of that team. And then at the end of the season, he was let go. So, and then coming into this search, I think D'Amico Ryan was the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. He was looked at as one of the best head coaching candidates out there. I think he was sought after by Denver and also the Texans, and ultimately he decided to select the Texans jobs. And I think they got the job. He took the job largely because of the fact that he was drafted to the Texans in 2006. They drafted him into the NFL, and because he had that relationship and probably has some, deep roots in the Houston area after playing there for 6 years, he's a former player of the Texans, and so therefore he was he took the job. But I want to bring out some points, but I want to take this caller first. Caller, you're live on the air. Hold on. Caller, can you hear me? Hold on, caller. Caller, you're live on the air. Hold on, let me see something here. I wasn't able to hear him. Maybe you can call back, caller, and I can get you in here. All right. But I wanted to bring up this. Let me bring up this article that I read. Right. I suggest anybody who has a chance. Let me bring it up. I wanted to show you guys some of this information in this article, and it was written last year around this time, right? And in this article, it goes over, uh, the challenges of not only getting a head coaching job in the NFL, but also maintaining a head coaching job in the NFL. And I want to point out just a few points, just a few points. Hold on, let me. The caller has called back. Let me see. Caller, you live on the air? Can you hear me, caller? Hold on, give me a minute. Hold on, let me get my system together here. All right, go ahead, caller. Go ahead, caller. I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay, cool. So
Yeah,
I came in when you were talking about. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I can hear you fine now.
Okay, I came in on that Jordan LeBron comparison.
Okay.
Like the GOAT. And I'm old here, I'm 51, 52, so I've seen a little bit of ball. And I actually live in Akron, and I'm close to a few people he knows.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you that the way he plays, he got from his high school coach, Coach Drew Joyce at St. B. St. Mary. That's where he got that game from, passing and whatnot. And even his coach said he compares LeBron to a combination of a Jordan / Magic Johnson. Now I've always said that, athletic Magic Johnson. But he got that passing aspect from his high school coach. Now knowing that, because I didn't know it before, and you know what they would say that players like Jordan and Kobe had that killer in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what they were going. They're going for the shot, going for the juggler, whatever. And LeBron would make the right play. So I kind of looked at LeBron a little bit like, okay, he's scared of that moment, even though he's taking some last second shots here and there, whatever. I was looking down on that, but once I talked with the coach and I realized, okay, he learned that from his coach, so I had to look at him in a different light. Now with this scoring record thing, I'm a bias on that. Why am I biased? Because they say, oh, LeBron been in 18, Kareem played 21. But it's one stat that I'm looking at, and that's LeBron had those threes. He had 2,200 something up plus threes, and Kareem only shot 1 3 in his life in one game. No, he made one out of 18.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, if you take away the 3 years Kareem or LeBron had shorter than Kareem, and then you got 3-pointers, it's okay. I got to give him this, but he has done the thing. But there's 2 records that Jordan still has out here. And that's highest scoring in game per average, and it's another stat he's still holding on to, but I forgot what the other one was. But as far as the greatest, here's my definition of it, where I'm just taking straight to the court, because a lot of people always saying LeBron does these things off the court. What he does is great stuff, granted. And that's the championships and whatnot. But I'm throwing this in there. There's been 2 players, in my opinion, and I'm open to any rebuke on this,
Mm-hmm.
that has changed the way the game is played. One is Jordan, Be Like Mike, the whole marketing campaign. And right now, the one current player that the whole game is changed with, and that's Curry. He's 3-pointers all over the place. When I look at the greatest player, I'm looking at what change did they bring across this game. Now I'm teetering now. When LeBron breaking the scoring record and stuff he's done, the only teetering that I'm doing right now is Jordan still got those 6 championships on him. That's the only thing I'm holding on to.
Well, and that's what most people bring up, but you got to believe. You got to also bring up the point that I want to say LeBron has played in 10 championships. You know, he's won 4.
Yeah, but he lost 6 though.
Okay, but look at here. If you look at LeBron and the span, just the number of years in which this, like Jordan had a 8-year period, right, where he won 6 championships.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a period that for LeBron that was 11, 12-year span, right, where he went to 10 championships.
Right.
And when you look at the level of dominance that LeBron has had over the number of years that he's played the game, like again, like Mike, this is where they are comparable. Like they came in the league dominate. There was no warm-up period, there was no adjustment period for LeBron or Mike. The only difference is LeBron was 18 and Mike was 21. You know, there was no warm-up period. They both came in the league, dominate. And because of that, you know, and when you talk about Mike's was started at 33, Mike started teetering off his performance. Matter of fact, he even retired and came back, and he was a shadow of the player he was at 36, 37, 38. But what is LeBron at 37 and 38? He's one of the best players still to this day, one of the best players in the league. And I don't think you can argue that, right? And if you look at it over 20 years, right? You cannot compare LeBron's last 10 to Jordan's last 3 years. Like literally, if you break it up in two different careers, like the first 10, I would give that nod to Jordan, right? First 10, if you compare each one of them, I give that nod to Jordan. But if you look at the second 10, where Jordan only played 3 and LeBron has played actual 10, and what happened over those 10 years, you can't deny that LeBron is the greater of the two players. You know, if you try to cherry pick the best years, then of course, that Jordan did some things on the basketball court that has never been done and probably never will be done. When you talk about a guy that's the way he dominated the league when he was in the league, I don't think that will ever be repeated again, right? But when you factor in longevity into that, and I think you have to when you're talking about the GOAT, right? When you're talking about the GOAT, you have to factor in longevity. And so when you factor that in, bro, I don't think there's any question that LeBron is the GOAT, man. Hey, bro, I appreciate you calling. I want to get to this other topic before we go into picking the NFL games, man. I also want to encourage anybody else to call and talk about this, but I definitely want to, if you want to call back as I unpack this black coaching situation, I'd love to hear your information on what you think about this as I unpack this. So thank you for calling, caller.
All right, man.
All right. So I wanted to get into this coaching deal, man, and I hope I'm able to do a good job unpacking this, man, because I think this is a very when we look at coaching in the NFL, and we always wonder why a league that is 70% black currently only has 3 black head coaches, right? And again, I know people often go to racism as pointing out the situation. I'm not so inclined to make that the situation or the circumstance as to why. You know, there are many decisions that are made by organizations why they want certain coaches, this, that, and the other. And I think if we jump right to racism, then we may overlook some systemic issues or issue within the NFL that also may be contributing to this, right? There may be a situation where there may be a lack of opportunities. There may be a lack of tutelage. It may be the situations that the coaches go into. But what we can't deny is the outcomes, right? We can't deny the outcomes. And let me try to share this. Let me screen share here. We can't deny the outcome. So Windows, Safari. All right, so let me take this same article and put it in this other deal. Sorry, guys, I would be able to show it here, but for whatever reason, I'm not. All right. All right. All right, man. I wanted to let me see what it looks like over here. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see the article really good. And this article is in the Griot, and I definitely suggest you guys go to the Griot and read the entire article. I just want to highlight a few things that the article points out. Again, this article was written last year in February of 2020. And it said, and it goes to explain that in 1989, the Oakland Raiders hired Art Shell as the first black head coach in the NFL. And it says this is as of February of last year, 2022, and it says, however, in the 112-year history of the National Football League, only 20 black men have been allowed to coach an entire season. Right? That's 20 black men have been allowed to coach an entire season. That's interesting, right? 20 black coaches. And let me go down here, and it goes down to and it says, where did all these white guys come from? It says perhaps starting part of this racial disparities in head coaching jobs is the sheer ability of NFL owners to find white men in the league that fluctuated between 54 and 72% African American players. Over the last 33 years, white coaches have accounted for 84% of the new hires, while black coaches have make up less than 12% of the new hires. 13 NFL teams, nearly half of the league's 32 franchises. The Bills, Commanders, Cowboys, Falcons, Giants, Panthers, Patriots, Ravens, Seahawks, you see what I'm saying, have never had a black head coach. Have never had a black head coach, right? This might be because of, okay, that's not what I want to. It said, and here's 14% of the 792 coaches employed in the NFL in March of 2021 were related to current and former NFL coaches. Just think about this. 14% of the coaches that coach in the league are related to the NFL coaches. That means, to me, would mean that there is a nepotism problem in the league. Let me read that again. 14% of the 792 coaches employed by the NFL team NFL teams in March of 2021 were related to current or former NFL coaches. More than a third of the current coaches in the NFL are family members of former or a current coach. More than a third of the current coaches in the NFL are family members of a former or current coach. Before the Los Angeles Rams, Coach Sean McVay became the youngest coach in history. His grandfather, the general manager of the 49ers, which was led by Kyle Shanahan, whose father, Mike, was a long-term coach of the Denver Broncos, whose new head coach is Nathaniel Hackett, whose father served as offensive coordinator for 8 NFL teams, including the team that led McVay's grandfather. That was led by McVay's grandfather. So just think about this. We may boil it down to maybe a racial problem, but it may be a nepotism problem. It may be a nepotism problem. It may be the situation is that NFL coaches hire within their families and their friends. That may be the problem. It may not be racism. It may be the fact that they have a systemic problem where they just end up hiring people within their own family, which is, in my opinion, is a huge problem. Is a huge problem because that's not only denying other black people opportunities, that's not denying other people in the general population opportunities to become coaches. And it goes on to say, and as I wrap up this, man, I should definitely suggest you read this article. And I'm wrapping up here, and we'll go ahead and get to the Super Bowl picks and everything, man. But I definitely wanted to go over this. And it says, overall, black coaches have won 7.75 games per year, while white coaches win about 7.71 games per year. That's comparable. That's comparable. Yet the average tenure of a black coach is 4.5 years more than 4.5 years, more than a full season shorter than the tenure for a white coach, which is 5.68. Just think about that. Black coaches win about at the same rate. They win a little more, they win at a little greater rate than white coaches. But they get a whole more than a year less tenure than white coaches. That means that they're fired much earlier. And this goes on to say that on average, a team led by African-American coaches makes the playoffs 40% of the time, while franchises led by white coaches reach the postseason a little more than 35% of the time, which means that teams led by black coaches have better outcomes. They make the playoffs 40% of the time. White coaches, they make the playoffs 35% of the time. Although 2 postseason appearances every 5 years may seem like a slight difference since the NFL and the AFL merged in 1963, only 2 white coaches, Marty Schottenheimer and Jimmy Johnson, have ever lost their jobs after making the playoffs twice in 5 years. Remember this. Remember that. Only 2 coaches have ever lost their job. Marty Schottenheimer and Jimmy Johnson have lost their jobs after making the playoffs twice in the 5 years before they were fired. In the NFL history, in the history of the NFL, 17 coaches have been fired with winning records, 5 of whom were black. And it goes to name Art Shell, Tony Dungy, Lovie Smith, Jim Caldwell, and Brian Flores. Smith was fired after, he's talking about Lovie Smith, was fired after a 10-win season. Dungy after 3 consecutive playoffs appearances. Caldwell was the last coach, that's what they mean, was the last coach to take the Detroit Lions to the playoffs. He did it twice. That's right. A quarter of the black men who ever coached in the NFL were fired with winning records, while 97% of white coaches who won more than 8 games keep their position. Just think about that, guys. And I wanted to touch on that, and I hope you guys, I appreciate you guys for staying here with me, is that only a quarter of the black coaches were fired with winning records. A quarter of them. And 97% of white coaches who have a winning record retain their job. Just think about that. Think about that stat in and of itself. Is that you can be a black coach and you can win more than 8 games and you still have a 25% chance of being let go. Whereas with white coaches, you're virtually guaranteed an opportunity to continue as a head coach if you win more than 8 games. I think that disparity in itself deserves some level of investigation. Not only is it harder to get the job, and again, the reason why it's harder to get the job, there's a lot of nepotism going on in the NFL, right? There may be some systemic racism, but once they get the job, it's a much harder job for them to hold on to. Even when they exceed their white peers, they are let go at a much higher rate. So I wanted to bring that to the table because I thought that was definitely an important point as I read this article again. I suggest all you guys go take a look at that article and read it. But now we can get into what you guys came here to check out, man. We can get into it. And it's the historical matchup between the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles, led by two black coaches. Well, each of them led by a black quarterback. Like I say, this is a historic matchup. This is something I'm looking forward to see. Again, I was privileged enough to see Doug Williams win a Super Bowl in 1988. And this right here is a culmination of all of the, work that was put in by guys like Doug Williams, Warren Moon, Mike Vick, Randall Cunningham, Vince Evans. I'm naming these guys that were black quarterbacks in our era that didn't really get that much of a chance, man. They didn't get the chance that some of these other guys got. And so they were what I would consider effective quarterbacks, but they were ceremoniously released or they had to put up with racism and scrutiny. And I'm so happy that we're at a time in sports where those players don't have to put up with that scrutiny for being black quarterbacks. It's tough on black quarterbacks, in my opinion. I think they're scrutinized for being athletic or being running quarterbacks or whatever. But the opportunities to play quarterback are plentiful, and they're for the most part, you can get an opportunity to play quarterback in this league, and guys like Lamar and Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes are examples of what can happen when black quarterbacks are given those opportunities. So I definitely want to shout out those guys. Next, I want to bring up this. This is I want to break this down. And so both these teams, in my opinion, when you look at this game, it's a very close game. It's a very, very close game. The Eagles have if you just look at the teams in and of themselves, the Eagles, in my opinion, have the better defense, right? They have the better defense. And when you evaluate these teams offensively, right, I think offensively they're very close. They're very close. And so as I'm breaking this down, man, and I've looked into the numbers or whatever. So in the NFL, the number one ranked offense in this game, the number one ranked offense in the NFL is the Chiefs. And the number two ranked offense is the Eagles. So they're very, very close. However, the number two ranked defense in this league is the Eagles. And then the Chiefs defense kind of comes behind them at 16. So again, very close with the offenses, and there is a pretty substantial gap when you talk about the defenses in this team. Now there is no slouch. There is no slouch about the Chiefs offense. The Chiefs offense is very effective, very effective. However, I think the big plays, since the trading of Tyreek Hill, there are no longer as many big plays for Kansas City. And they're in a situation where Patrick Mahomes has to walk the ball down the field. And again, I got some, Patrick Mahomes, if you look at him, he's thrown for 41 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions. He passed the ball in the regular season for over 5,200 yards. And so that's in the regular season. And in the playoffs, he's passed for 4 touchdowns, no interception, 521 yards. So he's having a tremendous season. He's having a tremendous season. But when you think about it, just think about also what Jalen Hurts has been able to do. Jalen Hurts has been able to pass for 3,700 yards. But he only played 15 games because he was out a couple games due to injury. He passed for 22 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. However, he's run for over 750 yards this season. He's run for over 750 yards. So, and he's run for, I believe, 6 touchdowns. So that gives him an added edge. It gives him an opportunity to make plays in this game in a way that I don't think the Chiefs have seen all year. Also, in the playoffs, even though the Eagles have been dominant, However, but Jalen Hurts has had what I would consider a rather pedestrian performance in the playoffs, meaning that he's only had to pass for 275 yards, pass for 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So he hadn't had to do a lot in order to win the game. You know, they blew out the Giants, and then they also blew out San Francisco. So he's not been asked to do very much, right? When you also talk about the Chiefs, right? You talk about the Chiefs. The Chiefs have one of the best interior defensive players in the game, and in Chris Jones, right? And they have a guy that can get after the passer, who by the name of Frank Clark. In the secondary, they have Jalen Watson. My point in saying all this is that they have 3 notable, what I would consider defensive players that stand out, and the rest of their team is pretty average. That's why they were ranked number 16th, middle of the road in the NFL. When you contrast that with the players that the Eagles have, and the Eagles have, you know, let's talk about up front. The Eagles have had 78 sacks in the regular season. They have Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat, Javon Hargrove, Hassan Reddick. Those are guys. They have 4 guys. They have 4 guys that have double-digit sacks, man. That's unheard of. I've never heard that before. I don't know if that's a record or anything like that, but there are 4 guys with double-digit sacks, and then Fletcher Cox has 7 sacks. And then when you look on the back end, you're talking about a perennial All-Pro Darius Slay, along with a really good corner. You know, probably in the top half of corners in the NFL, James Bradbury. So you have 2 corners that are in the top half. You know, I put it like this: they're both top 20 corners in the NFL. Darius Slay and Bradbury. And when you have those kind of guys on the outside matched up with the interior pressure that can be generated by the Eagles, man, they're a tough matchup. They're a really tough matchup for the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Really tough matchup. And so if anybody else would like to call in and give your opinion of this as I go through my analysis of the game. Also, I want to bring up Mahomes is hobbling, right? He's hobbled. He has a high ankle sprain. Though I heard him say today in an interview that it should be better than it was a couple weeks ago. That's understandable. He's had 2 weeks to get treatment and heal. But if he was 100%, this would be a tough task to deal with these rushers from the Philadelphia Eagles. But on with one bad wheel, this can really, really put him in a situation where he's at a disadvantage. And this really concerns me in this game, is what will he be limited because of the high ankle sprain, and how will that pass rush be able to affect his play because of the high ankle sprain? You know, if we go back in the first Super Bowl played in, which he won against San Francisco, he was average until the fourth quarter. He was largely average when he played San Francisco in the fourth in that game until, Tyreek Hill caught that deep pass and made his way in. He was average most of the game. However, toward the end of the game, he turned it up, and he was who he thought he was, and they were able to prevail. Come back against Tampa Bay, you saw what the rush was able to do to him. The rush was able to literally shut him down and make him basically ineffective. Now, he was missing 3 offensive linemen in that Super Bowl, but again, with Patrick Mahomes isn't effective, what do the Chiefs have? What can they go to in order to get a pass rush? We got a call on there. Caller, you're live on the air. Who's calling? Where you calling from?
I talked to you earlier about that.
Okay.
This is Wake coming in Wake, and I called earlier about that Jordan thing, but I'm calling about this ball game.
Okay.
Now, with Philadelphia, I think they're gonna make it rain on Kansas City. Their defense, when they smelled the blood in the water with San Fran, they were just bringing it. That's what I expect them to do against KC. Now, the one thing that I hope they do, which I just can't stand it, why I get it, why people don't double team Kelsey. In my opinion, Kelsey is their running game. KC's running game. Tell me, who is the running back for KC? Who is the running back they have?
They have Pacheco and McKinnon. Pacheco
do they even run the ball like that?
Pacheco. Pacheco has been pretty effective. You know, he had, again, Andy Reid wants to pass the football, man. Like, I don't see,
right.
Andy Reid wants to pass the football. I think Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon have been effective at points, right? But at the end of the day,
right.
Andy puts the shoulders on the quarterback. That's his game. That's his strategy, right? He's going to try to pass the ball down the field and use the running game as to as an accessory to him passing the ball. He's not gonna lean on the running game to win the game. He's gonna depend on and with a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, wouldn't you put it on the back of Patrick Mahomes? Hello?
Yeah, but I'm old school. I'm old school. I'm still going to have that running game going.
Now
I gotta have a run game.
See, I thought last week they would lean into the run a little more. Last week I thought they would lean into the run a little more, but they didn't. Even with a bad wheel, Andy Reid still put the game on the shoulders of Patrick Mahomes. So I don't think they'll do anything.
Yes, he did.
I don't think they'll do anything different in this Super Bowl. I think they're going to put the game on the back of Patrick Mahomes, and he's going to. They're going to hope he can. Bring home the victory. I don't. Again, and to be honest with you, watching Philly all season, I don't know how effective the running game would be. If they tried to lean on the running game.
Well, that's the point. You got to at least try. You got to at least try. That was my thing with the way the Kansas City Chiefs played against Cincinnati. Cincinnati really did hold them, except for that little dubious play the linebacker made on Mahomes, gave him an extra 15 yards to kick a field goal. When you are struggling against a team like Cincy, and Mahomes' wheel was bad, the one thing that Mahomes goes to keep his rhythm going is Kelsey. Every play when he was looking, they were struggling. They needed to play Kelsey, and they would not double team him. So my thing, I would pick my poison. I'm going to take Kelsey out. I'm going to double team him. I'm going to take him out and let Mahomes have to find somebody else. Can he find somebody else? Yes, but he will not have his rhythm. I'm taking Kelsey out of here. That's the thing that most of these teams don't do. Like, stay disciplined, stay on your coverage, double team this man, and let Mahomes have to either go run, which he, like I said, got a bad leg, but I'd rather let him run with a chance to get a good hit on him and take him out. That's how I would handle that game. But Philadelphia, my thing with the key for me is Philadelphia. If they keep Kansas City off the field, then there's nothing to talk about. Because their offense is going to be grinding, especially with Fields running.
Let me ask you this: what chance does
Yeah.
Philly does the KC defense have to contain the Philly offense? What chance do they have?
Not a chance. None. None. I
Well,
don't see
they did,
KC defense tackling enough
but they did
unless they call different scheme.
They did a good job against Joe Burrow, don't you think?
That's a different machine.
What do you mean?
Burrow. The thing that I see in Fields this year compared to last year, they are letting him using his legs a lot more than he did last year. Whereas Burrow is going to try to sling it first. He's not a run first, or his running is not as dangerous as Fields running. And you mentioned that, how many yards did Fields ran this year? How many yards did Burrow run this year?
You got a good point.
That's
let me look up something here live on there. I want to see what was Kansas City's ranking in offense. I mean, what was Cincinnati's offensive ranking, right? Cincinnati was right. They had an effective offense. They were ranked 6th overall in the and 8th in scoring. So they had a pretty comparable offense, and they were handled pretty. I mean, they were held to 20 points, right? So I think KC defense did a good job. But what you're saying is that's a different monster. The Phillies offense is a different monster than what and you think the Philly offense, like what I think is this. The Philly offense has been proven hard to stop each and every time somebody has played them the first time, right? When the Cowboys played the first time, they walked right through us. When the Giants played them the first time, they walked right through them. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the second time, the Giants did a better job, but then the third time, they walked right through them again. You know what I'm saying? So the Philly has an offense that I think, if executed properly, is hard to match up against. It's hard to match up against. And that's why when you talk about this game, I think the best chance for Kansas City to win is to outscore Philly. Because I don't think they can hold Philly to 28 points or less. I think Philly's going to get at least 4 touchdowns, against them, whether it be passing or running.
Yeah, I'm guessing 35. I'm guessing 35 for Philly. It's going to be 35 for Philly. That's what I'm seeing too.
You going to see that? You seeing 35? Now,
no, I see Philly scoring at least 35. I see a high scoring game. I don't see, honestly, with the defense that Philly has, like I said, it depends on what they're running. I'm taking Kelsey out. I'm gonna let Mahomes do what he's gonna have to do. If that's make him run and I can hit him a few times, I'll take it. But if they don't stop Kelsey, they're gonna be struggling with him all night.
I wanted to take hey, caller, thank you for calling, man. And again, you're always welcome to call back. But I want to take you a trip. I want to take you into the world of sports betting as I continue this. I want to show y'all the betting site that which I use to wagers. Now, whenever I do a pick, it's for, like I say, I put this disclaimer up all the time. This is for information. This is for entertainment purposes only. This is for entertainment purposes only. So you can use these picks to bet if you want to, but they are for information. I mean, for entertainment purposes only. So let me get this banner down. So you see the game. This is the game in and of itself. Now, Outscript has the total I'm showing here. I made a mistake. The total here is 41. I mean, the total's here showing 45, but the total is actually 51. The actual total on the betting line, on the betting site, is 51. And I'm gonna go in here to the betting site with you guys for a second. So as you can see, that's the betting site, right? That I use. It's BetUS. If in fact you want, I tell you what, if you want to get on this website, man, there are some great benefits to being on this website, man. They'll match your bonuses. They'll match the money you deposit, all this kind of stuff. But if you're interested in that, hit me up in the comments, man. Hit the comments, and I can give you more information on that. But what I wanted to do is kind of show you all the bets all the different kind of bets that are offered for the Super Bowl. Like, let me go in here and kind of show you. So this is the NFL. Let me show you the prop bets. Let's go to football. Let's go to prop bets because they got all kind of NFL prop bets, right? So let me explain to you what a prop bet is. A prop bet is a bet not necessarily, it's not for who will win the game. It's about what will happen in the game, right? You're betting on what will happen in the game. Let me give you an example, right? In these prop bets here, it says first offensive play of the game, whether it be a rush or a pass, right? You can bet on that. You can bet on race to 10 points. Who will score 10 points first? The Chiefs or the Eagles? You can bet on that. You can race a bet on who will score 20 points first, the Chiefs or the Eagles. There are all kind of things you can bet on here. Let's go down here to some of this other stuff. Okay. This is a good one. This is a great one. And I can explain this to you guys. Hopefully you guys can see it pretty good. All right, it says you can play this bet. It says winning margin, like you can predict the winning margin. Do you think the Chiefs will win? The Chiefs will win by 1 to 4 points. And you see where it says here plus 320. Let me explain to you what that means. In other words, what you mean, the odds are here. If it says a plus, what it means is if you bet $100, you win, you'll win $320. So if you bet 100, you'll win 320. Let's go. Let's see. Look, there's all kind of bets here. If you think it's going to be a blowout, if you think the Chiefs are going to win by 19 to 24 points, you can bet $100 on the Chiefs and win $1,600. Right? Those are the kind of odds you're giving on those. Now, again, we all know the more risks you take, the higher your reward is. And so it's not likely. Just look at this bet. The Chiefs will win by 43 or more points. It's not likely that will happen, right? But you can put $100 down on that bet, $100, and you'll win $10,000. Think about that. Betting $100 and you could potentially win $100,000 if you take the Chiefs to win by 43 or more and it hits for you. Now the Eagles, same thing with the Eagles. If you think the Eagles going to win by 43 points or more, you can put $100 down on the Eagles and you can win $10,000 as well. Like I say, these are all these different kind of bets you can bet. Now there are also player props, right? There are what they call player props. Let me show you those right quick. If you like this kind of content, if you're learning something today and you like this kind of content, put one in the comments. Because I really would like to take you guys on a betting journey. If you would like, this is something that I find very interesting, and it's a hobby for me. It's not a job; it's a hobby. I don't suggest anybody try to make a living picking the NFL games. So, all right. So let me go here. These are more player prop. Let me see. I'm trying to get to the player prop bets, and it'll. So let's look at this Super Bowl MVP. You can bet who will be the Super Bowl MVP. You can bet it. You can bet. Say, okay, here's a bet. Super Bowl MVP. You can bet whether it be a quarterback or any other player. If you bet that it's going to be a quarterback, you see where it says negative 550. Let me explain to you what negative means. Negative means that if you bet $550, right, you'll win $100. So what this is telling you is that it's highly likely that one of the quarterbacks is going to be the MVP. It's highly likely that one of the quarterbacks is going to be MVP. But in order to, if you bet, you also can look at it like this. You can use lower denominations as well. You'll have to bet $5.50 to win $1. Right. But if you want to pick any other player, to win the MVP, you can put down $100 on any other player, and that $100 will win you $375. So again, the more likely it is to happen, the lower the odds. The more less likely it is to happen, the higher the odds. That's how betting is. That's how it is. Uh, these are look, what does this say? It says the NFL is Super Bowl MVP award, Patrick Mahomes versus the field. You can bet that Patrick Mahomes will be the MVP, right, against the field. Right now, again, when you're talking about one player, you bet that one player is going to be the MVP. MVP. You taking one player, but think about this: you bet 130, you bet $100, you win 130. It's saying that more than likely there's some other player that's going to be the MVP. But when you talk about Patrick Mahomes against the field, in order to win $100, you got to bet 170. So these are the kind of things that I want to share with you guys. Now you can take individual players here. Like if you think that, let's just look at a player. If you think Darius Slay is going to be the MVP, you can go over here and I'll type this in for you. You can bet $100 and you'll win. See what that is? See, you'll win $6,500. $6,500. Brandon Graham, right? You can take Brandon Graham, bet you $100 bucks. You can bet Brandon Graham. You can bet $500 on Brandon Graham and win $40,000 if you think he'll be the MVP. Again, all these guys, Darius Slay, Brandon Graham, they're long shots. They're absolutely long shots. But look at this. You may not, if you got a little money just to gamble, you can put $10, right? You can put $10 on Darius Slay. And if Darius Slay ends up being the MVP, what do you win? $650. Think about it. You take $10 and you pick 10 guys. Just say you take $10 and you take $100 and you bet $10 on 10 guys. Now, if you pick with the odds are with $10, you have a pretty good chance of winning, right? You take the top 5 guys, and then you start picking down here and find some of these long shots. You're only betting $100, but again, the key is if you bet $100 and say Jalen Hurts doesn't win, but Miles Sanders wins, and you bet $10 on Miles Sanders. See, you got your money back. You won $220, right? So those are the kind of things you have to think about when you're betting, right? You can put it all on one person, or you can spread a little bit over the field and see at the end of the day, will you make your money back? But see, here's what happened. You put $10 on Jalen. Jalen gets the MVP. You win, but you just won $12. You win $12, but you lost 90 though. If all the other players. So again, you want to bet smart. You want to what you really would want to do is bet on these here long shots, because these long shots is really what gives you the best odds. But again, the players with the better odds, and 9 times out of 10, the best you're getting the best. It's highly likely that Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes will be your MVP. Next week, we'll be able to go back and look at this, and you'll see if they end up being your MVP. You'll win. If you bet 100, you'll win 120. You bet 100 for Patrick Mahomes, you win 130. So what is this telling you? It's the odds are, the betting lines are that Jalen Hurts will be the MVP. That's what he has, the best odds of being the MVP. That's what they think. So just so you guys know. And I think he has the best odds of being the MVP because he's a threat running and he's also a threat passing. Let me see if there's anybody else here. Let me get this. I'll remove this. That's taking you down a rabbit hole here. I thank you guys for indulging me as I take you on the sports book. Thank you, Billy, man. I appreciate it, man. This kind of content, I just wanted to take you guys behind, show you. If you're interested in betting, just put a comment. I can send you a referral, and you'll get a referral bonus. I'll get a little referral bonus. We'll both get a referral bonus, and we'll be able to play and have a little fun. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. Entertainment purposes only. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to it. All right. So here it is. My pick. This is tough for me, guys. This is really tough. Because I think even though both of these offenses are juggernauts, right? And anytime you have a high scoring game, right? A high scoring game, I think the team that makes the least amount of mistakes has a chance to win, right? Least amount of mistakes. But I think in this particular game, the ability to run the football, by the Eagles will give the Eagles an edge. Because not only if they end up with the lead, they'll be able to keep the lead and also keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline. That's why for this game, my pick is Philly -1.5. And remember, in order for me to win, and in order for you to win, Philly has to win by one or more. Now, I want to see what you guys think about the total. Tell me what you guys think about the total. Now, I think this is, I don't usually bet the total very often, right? But I think that 51 is a gimme. I think if you bet on that 51, more than likely your bet is going to cash. Your bet is going to win because I think they're going to score more than 51 points combined. I think the final score is going to be in the area of 24-35 or 28-35 or 28-38, something in that area. I think the score is going to be higher than 51 because I think at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes, even though the Philly defense is awesome, Patrick Mahomes will find a way to score the ball. But Philly's defense will force some turnovers. They'll put Patrick Mahomes in some bad situations, and the Eagles' offense will get some short fields and some easy opportunities, and they're going to run it. They're going to ultimately win the game. Man, I can't believe we're already to the end, man. I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. If you guys would like to call, the call lines is open. I can keep the call lines open for you a little bit if you want to call in. And if you have a pick you'd like to give, man, I want to thank you guys again. I want to thank Off Script for giving me this opportunity to come on and talk about sports, man. This has been an amazing opportunity. As we get through the season, as we get into next season, man, I hope to continue to get better at this, man. This is something I absolutely enjoy, man. I absolutely enjoy talking sports. I enjoy interacting with you guys, and it means a lot to me to get this opportunity. I really would appreciate your critique of this live, man. You can let me know what you think, things that I can do better, things on how I can improve. If there's anything you like to like for me to go into about it, as far as sports is concerned, I'm a big time NBA and LeBron fan. If you guys want to come on for a little bit and talk a little NBA, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it. Me and Off Script had agreed to do this for the NFL, and I hope to come back next week for also to give a recap of the Super Bowl, man. I think it's a recap of the Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to this game, man, and I want to see how the things that I thought would happen, how they would pan out, man. You guys can tell me where I'm right. You guys can also point out and tell me where I was wrong as we recap this. So I look to come back to you next Tuesday and talk about what we saw on Super Bowl Sunday, man. Much love, everybody. My name is Rocky, and thank you for tuning in to Upon Further Review. Much love, and I'm out.